Good evening and welcome to the Rory Talks Football channel. Thank you for coming back. If you're new here, please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, smash a like on the video as well. Look, the main topic of today's video, of course, is unfortunately last night's defeat. There wasn't a defeat, but it very much felt like it. The draw to Southampton. The end of our title charge, is it? Maybe, possibly. Still getting over it. Still trying to hold on to some sort of hope. It is still technically in our hands. If we win 6 games out of 6, we do win the Premier League, but that feels a long way off. Now that we're where we are, afternoon. Those of you joining the YouTube chat, good to see you. Good to see you. Please say Sheffield United smash up Haaland's ankles. Well, look, it could happen. If you're on TikTok, please do head over to the YouTube channel. The link is in my bio. Hey, Rory, missed the last couple of streams, but I'm back. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm good, thank you. Man, I'm really struggling today. It's been a tough day. It's been a tough day. Why did Vieira start? We'll get into that. We'll get into the decisions. We'll get into the mistakes and all the rest of it. It's been tough. Let's start praying for a City win today. Ball is still in our side of the court. Have to die at the Etihad. Leave everything out on that field. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, if you don't go and win at the Etihad, it means that we wouldn't have beaten City this season in 3 games, including the FA Cup one. And if you come second after that, then you know that it is what it is. Trying to stay positive. We have to beat City. No excuses. Nothing but a win will do. Exactly. The fear for me is that we could beat City and then still throw it away somewhere else. But look, we will get into that. We'll get into Arteta's press conference. We'll get into today's results, some interesting results in the Premier League. We'll talk about the Man City game that's coming up. And, of course, we will have Guess the Gooner. But look, for me, yesterday, we're missing Saliba. Truthfully, the biggest thing, did you see what Lee Gunner said? Heads need to roll. No, I've blocked Lee Gunner on TikTok, so I never see what he says anymore. The fact that, I mean, look, if he is saying that heads need to roll and stuff like that, I mean, he's in his prime. He's in his prime. He's been desperate to say stuff like that. I can't stand the bloke. Look, I can't stand the bloke. I've blocked him on TikTok. I don't see what he has to say. And he is a moron. But look, we'll move on. Have we thrown away the title? Nearly. We've nearly thrown it away. It's close, but it is still in our hands. We can still do it. But look, in terms of yesterday, Saliba is the big miss, truthfully, and it's affecting every single part of the way that we play. I saw a thing today, before Saliba got injured, our XG in the Premier League, our expected goals conceded was second in the league, as in the second best in the league behind Man City. Since Saliba's been injured, it's 19th. We've gone from the second best to the second worst. And it really does, and it's not Rob Holding's fault. I have to stress it. I love Rob Holding. He's been a great servant to the club. It's not his fault. But he cannot play. He just isn't physically capable of playing in the way that Saliba does, which allows us to press really high up the pitch, allows us to win back second balls, and it allows us to absolutely suffocate teams. And that's the reason. We weren't keeping clean sheets because our defence are all individually amazing players. We were keeping clean sheets because as a squad, we weren't letting teams get into our half most of the time. And now that we are, there are gaps opening up. You know, the gaps between players are having to overcompensate as well to make up for Holding and Vieira yesterday, who we'll get onto. You know, I don't want to absolutely slate him, but it was one of the worst performances I've seen in an Arsenal shirt in the Arteta era, truthfully. And it is what it is. Right now, there are very few things that we can do to fix this problem, short of making Saliba play and risking further injury. I'm at the point where, in terms of how, sorry, voice crack, in terms of how playing Rob Holding affects us so much, and I know Arteta doesn't like playing a right-footed player at left centre-back or a left-footed player at right centre-back because it affects the dynamics. For me, playing Kivior at right centre-back at this point would be less damaging to the dynamics than playing Holding, because at least Kivior has the pace to still play the aggressive high line that we play with Saliba. It really is costing us. And, you know, I said it in the player ratings, Thomas Partey looks really poor at the moment. That's because he's genuinely having to cover double the space that he's used to covering. Thomas Partey's space that he has to protect and defend and dominate is the gap effectively between the front four including Ødegaard, and the back four. Partey has to cover that space. When Saliba is stood on the halfway line at worst, that gap is much smaller than now when Holding is 20 meters deeper than that. And that gap is we still have the high press, we still have the attacking players as far forward as they are, but now Partey has twice the distance to cover. And it's making him look poor. And look, I still think he's making individual errors, he's making passing errors and stuff like that. But it's definitely being made worse by the fact that he has so much ground to cover. Do you think Zinchenko looked off because Xhaka wasn't in the team? Yeah, we massively lacked Granit Xhaka. We lacked his height. We lacked his gamesmanship. You know, people complain because they weren't given in the Liverpool game, but Granit Xhaka wins so many fouls when we're under pressure, which is really important as well. We massively missed him. We missed his leadership. He's the sort of player, and then this is another thing about Vieira, and it was the main criticism I had of Vieira in the player ratings. Aside from all of the things that we've already highlighted, Vieira has difficulties with in terms of his physicality, his presence. For me, he was cowardly yesterday. I spent about 10 minutes just watching him, just focusing on him and what he was doing and trying to understand why it was going wrong. And he was hiding. Instead of where Xhaka or Ødegaard or Partey will, you know, when one player's got the ball, they'll run towards that player. They'll present themselves as an option to receive the ball and do something with it. Vieira was hiding behind Southampton players. He would drift behind a Southampton player so that he didn't have to receive the ball. And hiding like Rice does for England. No, I don't think Rice does do that. That's the difference. But he was doing it a lot, and he wasn't redeeming himself in any sort of, you know, creativity or anything like that. And I just thought it was a really poor performance. And it's difficult to see where he goes from here. Now, the one thing I would say is that I don't think he is ever suited or built for the Granit Xhaka role in that team. I don't think there are many midfielders capable of playing the Granit Xhaka role in that team. I think Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo are both capable of it, and that's why it's so important that we bring them in. But there is no one else in the squad, I don't think, that's capable of it. Jorginho's an option, but I don't think he has anywhere near the attacking threat that you need in that role. I also think, again, Arteta wants it to be a left-footed player, but I'm not necessarily bothered. And you could tell by the fact that even as Nanasons said there, Trossard did a far better job when he came on. Hopefully, I mean, God, we've got to hope that Xhaka is back for the Man City game. I don't know how bad that illness was. It was only an illness, supposedly, that was the reason he was out. But we really, really need him for Man City because that's a gap we can't fill. That is a gap we can't fill. Saliba is a gap we can't fill. And this is where, you know, Gabriel Jesus being absent, actually, we filled that gap not too badly because it didn't really affect the dynamic of the team. Saliba and Xhaka missing really does affect the dynamic of the team. The first goal, it's an individual error from Ramsdale. It's one of those things. Individual errors will cost you. Tomiyasu's individual error against Man City, Saka missing a penalty, you know, games gone by. It happens. Individual errors happen. Happening at such an early point in the game and just, you know, it does kick in the nerves, right? And I definitely felt the players felt the nerves after that. It's brutal, but it happens. And Ramsdale's done more than enough to save us in other games this season. The second goal is poor. Again, Walcott found that gap. Well, it was outside of Gabriel. Zinchenko had actually inverted at that point. Walcott found that gap. The gap between Holding and Gabriel was there, and he tucked it away. And the third goal is just really poor again. Another set-piece goal conceded, which for some reason we've been awful on. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, that is where Granit Xhaka missing is important because, you know, he is one of the taller players on the pitch. But Vov FX says, I think we needed that slap. I think we had the slap against West Ham, though. We didn't need that slap. We had the slap against West Ham. And that's the thing. Liverpool was bad and was gutting, but I could understand it. West Ham was just bad. Last night was really bad. Like almost unacceptably. If we'd not had the season that we've had, last night would have been unacceptably bad. It's just gutting. It's just gutting. Literally, I was making the player ratings video earlier, and it actually just depressed me. The limbs would have been Bournemouth 2.0 if we'd scored again. Oh my god. I thought we had as well. I thought we'd scored again. It would have been unbelievable. Did you end up meet up with Nick? Yeah, I met Nick. I met Nick inside the stands. I think he's got a picture of us somewhere. Great guy. Really, really nice guy. We should go back to a back three and play Tierney, White, and Gabriel. I disagree. I think it's just difficult to know what to do at this point without Saliba. Poor from Partey, smashing it, not needed. Yeah, look, I don't know why Partey took that shot in the 97th minute, but that's not the reason we lost. Rory, please do an AFTV interview on Wednesday. I'm on AFTV for the full watch along on Wednesday, so I'll be on the thing afterwards as well. Feels like we need a finisher as a striker. Jesus missed a huge chance once again last night. He did miss a big chance. Look, you can make excuses for Jesus in terms of still coming back to it from injury and still getting back to his best, but I think Trossard really probably has to start against Man City. Once again, he looked excellent when he came on. And Reece Nelson looked excellent when he came on as well. Reece Nelson was perfect when he came on. He was intelligent, he was composed, he was direct, and arguably should have come on earlier. And I really do think if we lose him on a free this summer, that's a massive loss. A massive loss. He will ball out for another team in the Premier League. And Smith Rowe. Where are we at with Smith Rowe now? If he's not good enough to come on at any point yesterday, I mean, I thought he should have started instead of Fabio Vieira. Smith Rowe would have been my choice to start over Fabio Vieira. But the fact that he didn't even come on, it screams that it's the end of the road for Smith Rowe, which is just devastating. I mentioned it in yesterday's stream that the way Arteta had been talking about him didn't sound great. And you know, I think it's which is brutal, really. Apparently he's not got the best attitude, but who would Trossard start over on Wednesday? Maybe Jesus, honestly. Maybe Jesus. We need a target man. Needed. Yep, I don't disagree with that. We do need a target man. Especially for games, but not even in games like that. I don't think we need. Yesterday we didn't lose because we didn't have a target man. We scored 3 goals. It should have been enough to win because you should never be conceding 3 goals against Southampton. But I do think we need a target man for games like Man City, where their press is so good that sometimes you are just going to need to go long. What's the score prediction for Wednesday? My score prediction all along has been 1-1, so I'm going to stick with that. But look, in terms of things that Mikel Arteta said, again, if you are on TikTok, I appreciate you. If you want to head over to the YouTube, link is in my bio. I respond to the YouTube comments during the YouTube stream. Massively appreciate anyone that subscribes on YouTube. We're on our way now to 2,000 subscribers, and the community we're building is amazing. But look, Arteta, on how he feels about the result, he said at the end, empty, obviously, because it was a very emotional game, and I'm disappointed because we didn't get the 3 points. After all that happened in the game, I still believe that we deserved it, but we have to look in the mirror because we gave 3 really easy goals away. And when you do that, it's extremely difficult to win in this league. And he's right. You can't look at anything else. You can't look at anyone else. We conceded 3 goals to one of the worst goal-scoring teams in the league. 15% of all of Southampton's goals this season have come against Arsenal. It's unacceptable. On whether it's difficult to tell the players that it's still in our hands if we beat Man City, he said they want it so much. For me personally, what I've experienced with not only the players, but the staff and our supporters, it was incredible, and I know how difficult it is. After 1 minute, we made a big mistake to concede, and then we made another mistake, and it was 2-0. You're trying to just play and play and play against a team that is doing what they have to do because of where they are. And after the first time